Hello, my name is Lori, and I am back to talk a little bit more about the shooting that occurred at the Proctorville courthouse in 1921. A new article appeared in the Ironton Daily Register, which is one of the newspapers that predated the Ironton Tribune. The title of the article was Attorney T.D. Shirkey. It was in the thick of the pistol battle. For those of you who didn't catch part one, a man by the name of Harry Pine was accused of running a still and bootlegging and moonshine business, and he was convicted and he had to pay a $100 fine. His family disagreed, and it turned into a riot where 5 people were wounded and 1 severely wounded. And by August 2nd, which is the second day, the day after the initial riot and the shooting, there's of course a lot of eyewitnesses and there's a lot of confusion going on. Constable Walter Hicks, his son Winifred Hicks, and Deputy Constable Harry Jones, are charged with bootlegging, waiving a preliminary hearing at Proctorville yesterday afternoon, and were released under bond of $500 for each of their appearances before the Lawrence County Grand Jury, which would convene in September, so they had to wait at least a month before they could be tried. They were charged with shooting with an intent to wound. All 3 were put under arrest by Sheriff C.W. DeMint and Deputy Sheriff M.C. Wilson, who came to Proctorville from Ironton. Hicks stated that he had requested the sheriff to arrest him as he wanted the grand jury to investigate the entire affair. So apparently he didn't feel like all the witnesses were telling the truth, and what a great way to get started and find the truth is to get investigated himself. I'm not sure that's the path I would have chosen, but that's the one he chose. Because of the riot and the shooting, Alta Pine was shot 5 times, and he was in critical condition in the Huntington General Hospital at the time. They did believe on the previous night, the night of the shooting, that he had a good chance to recover, but he did have 5 bullet wounds. 2 were in the abdomen, 2 in the right arm, and 1 in the left arm. Carl Alcesser of Proctorville was also seriously injured, having been shot through the lower abdomen. Physicians at Proctorville believe, however, that he will live as well. When it comes to Harry Pine, a brother of Alta Pine, he was the one that was convicted. He was said to be aggressor of the trouble, also a farmer of Lawrence County. He received bullet wounds in the left leg and hip. John Smith of Proctorville was shot in his left leg, and he and Harry Pine are both patients at the Kessler Hatfield Hospital in Huntington. Jilly Edwards, another one of the injured, received a wound from a bullet in his right leg, and Mel Neff was shot through the heel of his right foot. Both of the men were living in Proctorville. According to the stories told by the shooting, about the shooting, it grew out of bad feelings which existed between Harry Pine and Harry Jones, the deputy constable. Not exactly shocking that someone who was arrested doesn't like the constable who arrested him. Jones was allegedly to have searched the home of Pine for moonshine whiskey during his absence, while Pine was away, and although the search was conducted, Pine was very angry that his property was searched without him being present. After they were tried on the 1st of August, Harry Pine accosted Jones a short distance from the hall and applied to him several obscene words. So some angry words were passed back and forwards. And this is when, and at that point, the stories change. Things start to go really downhill very quickly. Constable Hicks agrees after when he was interviewed. He says if he had done anything wrong, he was willing to stand and face the consequences. He did say he was, of course, armed, but that would be part of his job. Um, he states that during the hearing, Harry Pine was fined $100 for possessing and giving away moonshine whiskey. And a crowd gathered around the courthouse, and this led to some angry words and some violence. When Hicks and his deputies started to leave, the mayor called him back and told him to be watchful, as he expected there would be some trouble. And of course, when he stops to talk to Mr. Sturkey, who was an attorney, Tom Sturkey was the defense attorney for Harry Pine. Pine was just a few yards away, and he started cussing out Deputy Constable Jones. And then, at first, the Hicks didn't really pay much attention. He kind of walked away. But then Pine struck down a deputy and struck the deputy and hit him and knocked him down to the ground. And that's when Hicks recognized that both Harry Pine and Alta Pine were starting towards him. Alta cursed at the sheriff and pulled a gun. And Alta reportedly said he was going to make the sheriff eat it, meaning the gun. Then Harry Pine and his brother began to work towards the sheriff. Stanford Smith, son of John Smith, was one of the men who was shot, demanded to know what right he had with it. I denied that he did have a gun. Alta Pine started for my son, and then Alta Pine started for Hicks' son, and then Harry Pine closed in, and the battle begins. The sheriff actually says he remembers taking his pistol, away from Harry Pine twice, and after he had taken the pistol from him twice, the last time he took it from him, it was empty, so he just threw it to the ground. Alta Pine was captured at one point, as was Edwards, and the sheriff made an attempt to put them in jail before he realized how badly injured they were. Harry Pine and John Smith were both picked up by an automobile and taken away before the deputies or the sheriff could get to them. Mel Neff was a bystander and wasn't badly hurt. Carl Alsesser was also a bystander, and he was badly shot. This supposedly saddened the sheriff quite a bit, because Alsesser was actually a newlywed and had just been married a short time. Then, after that happens, another man, Dilly Edwards, has another gun, and he starts pressing in on the sheriff. And the sheriff, of course, tells him to drop it, which he did. It ends up eventually with, of course, quite a few people being injured. For Harry Pine's version, he says it started with, Winifred Hicks, which was the sheriff's son, and that he fired the first shot. Regardless, this incident did end, and it was covered in last part of July, first part of August in 1921. And if you are interested in learning more about the shooting and the riot that left 5 injured and 1 severely injured, you can look at the articles available on through our genealogy site. You can look at older Ironton Tribune articles and also from the Ironton Daily Register by going to our genealogy room located on the Ironton branch on the second floor. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call at 740-532-1124. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.